So I'm working on this old Yamaha outboard, and it's for a project that I'm doing on my other channel, the Salty Explorer. And while I was working on the wiring, something came to mind that I heard in another YouTuber's video, and they were talking about bullet connectors and laughing about it and saying they were junk. And there was a lot of people in the comments too that were agreeing, saying if I ever saw anybody using bullet connectors on wiring, they need to be taken out, and you know what. And I think that's kind of ridiculous. And so I just wanted to do a short video about that. I don't see what the problem is, honestly. And apparently Yamaha doesn't seem to have a problem with it either. But I just want to give you a few reasons why it'd be better to use bullet connectors versus soldering and all that crap on some of this wiring. First reason being, it's a boat, it's exposed to the elements. This one in particular, exposed to salt water a lot, and so the parts are prone to corrosion and failure. These switches will fail. These relays, switches, gauges, lights, anything and everything on a boat will go bad at some point. Some things quicker than others, but anyways, it's always a good idea, in my opinion, to be able to replace a part quickly and easily. Sometimes you have to do it when it's not very convenient. Say you're out boating and a part fails and you make it back to the marina and you have to replace something. You don't want to be cutting wires, stripping them, replacing the part, and then trying to resolder and do all that crap. You want a connector that you can just unplug and then plug it in quickly and you're off. So you kind of keep things modular within the motor. You can replace a switch by unplugging the butt connectors, taking the bolts out, take the switch out, put the new one in, put the butt connectors on, snap together, boom, you're done. The other reason why I prefer to have these is because, again, if something goes wrong and you need to troubleshoot and you've got your probes out, you don't want to be poking holes in your wires to test for voltage or continuity. It'd be much easier if you can just unplug the connector, test for power where you need to test for power, stick your probes in there, and then when you're done, you connect it back together, and now it's sealed from the elements. If you're stripping wire or poking holes in wire to test, now you're going to potentially expose that wire to corrosion. Bad idea, in my opinion. So, contrary to what that other guy says about using these, and the people in the comments, I'm still going to use them. And I think if you're working on boats, you should too. That's just my little speech. One more thing about using these. There's people that argue that they don't have a polarity, so to speak. Like, it doesn't matter which way these go. Obviously, they're just a connector. I disagree with that, because let's say that you have a part disconnected. You're trying to fix something, or you're trying to work on something. You've moved something out of the way, or even if it comes disconnected without you knowing, you're cruising down the river or whatever, something vibrates loose or wasn't plugged in properly, and now you've got a let's say this guy here, this wire, let's say I put it on this direction. This wire is live with 12 volts constantly. This wire is the input to the tilt switch. There's no voltage there. I wouldn't want this waving around and potentially short out the circuit, blow a fuse, or cause a spark, a fire, or whatever. I want the live wire, if it's disconnected, to be protected from touching anything. So in that case, I would put this end on, and now it can't make contact with anything and short that circuit out. This one can be exposed because there's not currently any voltage going through that wire, so it can bang around. It's not a big deal. So yes, in my opinion, they do have a proper way to go. On this switch, you got to kind of use your brain a little bit, right? In this case, this red wire is the input to the switch, and then when you press the switch, it outputs voltage on either the blue or the green, depending on if you want up or down. So when the switch is pushed, there would be voltage live on one of these wires. So rather than put that same bullet on each one of these, you would put a socket instead. You're basically doing the opposite now. So anything that could potentially have live voltage on it at any given time, you want to make sure it's protected by that silicone or plastic or whatever it is. So that's just my 2 cents on bullet connectors. I'm not sure if that makes sense or helps you out in any way if you're curious, but I'm going to go ahead and get these on here and get the shrink wrap shrunk and move on to my next thing.